Oh, hello and welcome to the weekly Mix and Mash, brought to you by the Midweek Mashed Tattie Sportscast. I'm your host, Dangerous Death. With me today is Bones, Vixen and Crazy Corpse. How you doing, boys?
Sorry. Hello. I totally zoned it.
I know.
Something in the air in Scotland.
You threw your intro too quick for me.
He wasn't mentally ready for the names.
I remember hearing Scary Corpse or something.
Not Crazy Corpse.
Crazy Corpse.
What is that? Our goth names?
That's you, Paul. Bones, Vixen is you, Michael.
Oh,
Bones,
yes.
Vixen.
Aye.
Sexual.
Right. So, I'm a lady.
David Williams, eat your heart out there. I'm a lady, you see.
Can you elaborate on the names?
It's just your paranormal name, apparently.
Oh, right. That's my ghost name.
So if we did
There's a part of me that thinks
fucking ghost hunters or something, that's what we cried.
Aye.
Always need the pishes they sell like the ones out of South Park, man. One of the greatest South Park piss takes ever.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Everybody good, though?
Aye,
good in the
mate.
hood, my
Thank
brother?
you, mate. All good.
Good. This is Michael. Oh, Christ. Just going to start off today with a little bit of football. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Celtic. Glasgow Celtic, they are the champions of Scotland this year. After being beat very badly to the championship last year, they've redeemed themselves this year in a way that nobody really seen coming. I know at the start of the season, when I found out that it was going to be Ange Postecoglou, I was like, don't know this guy. I have no idea about him. I read up a little bit about him, and then I was like, oh, give him a chance to get his team together, and then maybe by next season we can challenge. But this came rather quick.
Life comes at you fast, man. I can remember you reporting that in the original Midweek Mash Tatty long episodes, and you couldn't even pronounce the guy's name right.
That's right. I mean, I still can't pronounce his name right, so...
You'd made a better attempt than you did that. I mean...
Not much changed in that department. That's why I call him Big Ange.
Some rise though, mate. Some rise for being an utter mess.
It has been
champions.
Even at the start of his tenure, it was some of the games were a bit oof, but it was just the way that he was trying to get the team to play and people getting accustomed to it. So it's working out well, and you've seen in the summer where he's brought in players that he wanted to bring in, how that they've gelled with the squad and the quality that they bring in. It's actually quite good. So that's what's going to be interesting this year in terms of, this summer, in terms of recruitment and who he lets go. Because, I mean...
Well, there's two straight away, mate. Rogic and Nir Beaton are going.
Yeah, Rogic and Nir Beaton are gone. Rogic, he was actually playing a key role this season.
It's a bit of a shocker, eh?
Yeah. In previous seasons, he's had a key role as well, but he just kind of... Everybody thought he was done, washed up, and he came back and he's put in some good performances, kept us in games, and it's actually been brilliant, so he has.
I agree, mate.
Nir Beaton, he hasn't had as big a role, but he's certainly important role. So I
imagine he's a big deal in the dressing room because the two of them have been there 10 years, so they set the tone for the guys coming in, like as leaders of the dressing room. I bet you.
Yeah. The other thing was with Bitton as well. He was instrumental in with Laila Bada, getting him
Right,
settled.
so getting Abada in, right? And
Well, not getting him in, but when he was here, getting him
right, helping
settled
him out.
in. This is his first club away from home,
Aye.
and he was only 19, so it took him a wee while to adjust. But he's been great for us so far.
His return's been incredible, yep, for a first season for a teenage Israeli boy. Well, like you say, it is. It's a lot of gambles they've took have paid off, like largely.
Yeah,
Even the likes of Giacomakis, who came in with a wee bit of money spent on him, he's flying now. Like the first half of the season, you wonder what the fuss is about because he's a whole load of physicality with no direction. He scored a lot of goals in the second half of that season.
he has. Once he's got his chance, he's took it.
Aye,
The goal there, he scored a goal there against Motherwell yesterday.
Aye,
Or Friday, yesterday. And the strength of the guy, unbelievable. Like,
oh, he's a big lump. Like
he was just. So the ball came over and it took a wee deflection, and it was Stephen O'Donnell, Mossad, that was there marking him, and he just like braces up against him and just pushes him a wee bit, and he had no chance, and then he just Aberheed kicks it into the back of the net. So he's got some strength. He's got finishing ability, which the only thing that I want to see Celtic do next season is improve in Europe. That's where they really need to improve.
aye, absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't he just leave it all to Rangers every season,
No.
I mean, the final have passed by the time this episode comes out, man, for the Frankfurt game.
Yep.
Still mad to think.
That would be Wednesday. Mad to think that Rangers could be
In the European Super Cup next year.
against Real Madrid or Liverpool.
I love the thing with Old Firm fans, the mental gymnastics, however, the Old Firm fans used to justify success.
Yeah.
Rangers fans lately over the past couple of weeks have went with, aye, but we didn't even want to win the league.
Aye.
This one doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
We won the one that means a lot to you guys. We stopped to 10.
We stopped the 10 row. We won our
Who cares about this?
55. It's a what was it? I seen one of the
like-
Rangers fans saying it's a Diddy title
Diddy.
anyway. We don't want to win it. But it's like, right, okay.
It's-
But I guarantee if you won it in Europe, if you won it in that final, you wouldn't be saying that.
Oh,
guarantee.
it'd be sack Gio. It's, I mean, I'm glad they've got their success, but it is in both sides of the Old Firm are guilty of this mental gymnastics nonsense.
Aye.
Just enjoy your own team's success.
Of course.
Grown men embarrassing themselves with this kind of patter, like is
Aye. The good thing about yesterday I seen was Merchant City.
it was wild,
The
wasn't it?
celebrations.
Green.
It was it looked amazing. I would have loved to have been there.
You seen any of that, Mike? The literal
Seen some of the photos, aye.
lined with people, and you could not see the road for people.
Aye.
And green smoke.
It's not really.
Aye, so-
It's not my bag.
Aye, well, I don't think that'd be your kind of scene. No. No having that kind of.
I mean, I'm happy. Like, I mean, my family's Celtic daft, and that was my team growing up when I was into football. So I'm happy to see them win the league and stuff like that. But aye, I could take or leave the big how'd you do in the street.
The big house you do. Aye.
I love it though. I would love to be there.
Harvey's the kind of guy that built the pitch.
You never.
No,
come
I don't
across a
think I would have
party You
been-
didn't want to get involved with, did you?
What's that?
You never come across a party you didn't want to get involved with. You know about the atmosphere.
I was going to say something anyway. I have it.
Moving swiftly on.
Oh, good. It's always good when your sports teams win and people can celebrate. I like to see when people are celebrating like that, and there's no destroying stuff, and
That's the main thing. I'm assuming there wasn't any destruction or a mass amount
No,
of
there's-
litter left behind them or anything.
no. Well, maybe some litter. Not sure about that, but I've not seen anything about any violence or destruction. What's the word I'm looking for?
Destruction of property.
Destruction of property.
Vandalism.
Vandalism, that's the
There
one.
you go. Vandalism. Who thought vandalism?
Vandalism at there, lads. Which is a good thing. It's always good when the fans celebrate like that and with that stuff. So that's good. Anyway, we'll move on for old Celtic. Manchester City signed Erling Haaland. That is some signing. They couldn't get Kane, so they said, Kenmit, we'll one up it. We'll get Haaland.
How much did he go for?
21. Did they? He had a buyout clause, about 50-something million.
So he had a buyout clause that if he was still at Dortmund at a certain point, I think, and things hadn't been met by Dortmund, that he would be allowed to leave for £51 million.
Wow.
So they have got probably the biggest player on the market on the cheap.
I mean, that's obviously still a stupid amount of money, but in the grand scheme of things, like for how much a player, for how much he would have been potentially worth, that's a steal.
It's a quarter of what a quarter of what you would expect him to go for, basically.
Probably be one of the only players that Man City will ever make money off of.
Potentially,
Because
if they get 3 or 4 seasons out of him and then sell him, they'll probably get considerable more than what they've spent.
He's 21. I don't see Erling Haaland staying at Manchester City for the rest of his life.
No.
Probably not for the rest of his life, no, but he'll do a lot of good there.
I think
if he stays injury free.
Probably 5 seasons and he'll be off to Real Madrid.
Possibly. I mean, I could see a world where he goes to one of the big Spanish teams, I
don't know if I see him in Spain for some reason.
Oh, he'll go there.
Yeah.
He's got a long career ahead of him, though.
He has previously spoke about wanting to play there for one Real Madrid. I don't know if he said either Real Madrid or Barcelona. I definitely remember Real Madrid being in the conversation.
He's well just writing off the English Premier League next year because that's a cheat code there, man.
Aye.
Like, the service he'll receive as a Man City striker.
He'll receive all the service in the world. I wonder if they'll kind of change their tactics up a little.
Because he's more of a quick break striker. Like Dortmund kind of quick break with him in the team because his pace and his dynamism. Like the boy is a battering ram. Like he is.
He's a machine.
6'3", a fucking size that can move like a small speedy winger.
Yep.
He's a once in a generation talent, definitely.
Speed, power, strength. He's got it all.
Has a lot.
Intelligence.
Mad to think that his dad was just a bang average right back. Like.
Yeah.
his dad used to play with Man City, the normal Man City, Mick.
Right, okay.
Alfinger Haaland. He played 3 seasons at Manchester City, so he did.
Right.
So, Michael, do you remember
midfielder right back?
Do you remember Roy Keane's horror tackle?
Oh, aye.
That's Erling Haaland's father.
Aye. He broke his leg with a tackle, aye.
Oh, I remember that back in the day,
Aye.
Yep.
So that's Erling Haaland's dad, Alfinger.
Right, okay.
Yes. And that so Jesus is probably going to leave.
I mean, what's the point,
Aye. But Arsenal have been heavily linked with him, and I think they're going to make a move for him now that Haaland's there. And I think he goes to Arsenal. I think he fits in Arsenal.
He probably suits Arsenal. I agree, mate. If Arsenal get in the Champions League and if they have him as their main man, it maybe suits Gabriel Jesus to be more loved at a different kind of team, because with Man City he's one of many.
He doesn't really get much attention.
Clearly a very talented boy. He's no that world class level. He's very good though. Yes,
very good. So it'll be an interesting season next season.
The amount of free transfers everywhere, mate.
I wonder what if Liverpool are going to make a big signing.
Oh, well, I mean, look at all the players that are still out there. Mbappe's still out there. Nobody's agreed to terms with Mbappe. I mean, obviously the rumour is Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yeah.
But nothing's confirmed.
Of
question just when you mentioned Liverpool. Sorry to interject. Is there any developments on Salah and the other fella that was arguably injured? Potentially.
Salah,
I forget.
Van Dijk went off in the FA Cup
Van
final.
Dijk, aye.
and Salah.
Obviously,
So
Liverpool won in penalties.
Salah was taken off as a precaution,
Right.
so he should be good to go. Van Dijk, no idea.
Right, okay.
I can actually just do a little quick Google, maybe. Injury update.
I've still a soft spot for Liverpool, so I'd love to see them get this magical quadruple they're chasing. I don't know how realistic it is with the league, but they've
So they'll be,
a fair
if they
chance
win,
in the
if
champs.
they win their next game, they'll be a point behind Manchester City. Manchester City drew 2-2 today with West Ham.
Right.
Yeah,
So we'll get into the wire if they can win their next game.
yeah. Right. Okay, this injury update is not even an injury update. Thank you, Liverpool Echo. Real nonsense.
Shoot, season is opening mix and mash.
Maybe we'll have an update on that next week because that'll be the lead into the final.
Aye, into the FA Cup final.
The Champions League final, even. Aye. God, that's some game as well going to be, man.
It'll be a good game. Should be anyway. Could you imagine if Harry Kane went to Liverpool? That would be a signing.
That would be
Harry Kane up
Jesus,
top.
that squad would be.
Harry Kane in the middle, Salah on the right, Mane on the left.
But then
That would be.
I think they've got the next big steal of the century, by the way, in that Diaz boy, that Luis Diaz.
Yes,
that
very
boy
good,
is
very good player.
phenomenal. And it's another one of these players that they seem to have a habit, Liverpool, of finding these boys incredibly cheap when they're just hitting the up curve. And they just seem to boost them on. Like, I mean, Diogo Jota, Sadio Mane, Salah, Diaz, all of them kind of 30-ish million pounds asking price. And every one of them are better than the likes of Romelu Lukaku, who cost like upwards of 100 million.
Yep.
Like, much better, more dynamic players who can do a lot more attacking wise, and when they're not in possession, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, they were all. Lukaku's no. He's no running about after the ball. He's not doing the gegenpress.
No, absolutely no. He's a weird person. I don't get Lukaku. Like, he's obviously very good, but
He's so
the money that's
good.
been thrown about for him.
I think he needs to be in the right environment to shine. Remember
needs to
at
be in a
Everton,
team.
he was that absolute monster. He was just banging in goals left, right, and centre.
He was good at Everton.
And then,
Just not get the mentality for it.
I think that's the bother with McAnkey. He believes in his own hype a bit much, and it bites him in the arse.
Probably. That sounds a bit right.
He needs a point. He needs
He's
a point
the
to
big
prove
star,
that.
so everybody should be just getting the ball to him and letting him get the goals. Like, he shouldn't have to work for it.
With Everton, they went to Everton because he couldn't get in the Chelsea team, so he had a point to prove that he was good. So he had a few good seasons, and then he goes to Manchester United for the big move. And despite the fact he scores goals, he largely disappoints. So then when he goes to Inter Milan, he has the point to prove again of, I'm no shite, I'll show you.
Yep.
And he lights up Serie A to the point where he gets his big move back to Chelsea, and it's like a pattern with him that he doesn't have the mentality to just keep going. Keep going, like...
Play shite for a season or two, and then I've got to prove myself again.
He needs a story, to quote as a wrestling guy like myself. Right? He needs an angle. He can't just fucking go and do it.
Oh, crikey.
Doesn't he?
He's going to turn heel now and again.
He loves a face turn and a heel turn, man. This is a big man.
Oh, God.
Ooh. There's a few players, like, so Paul Pogba, he's free agent as well. Mata. There's a bunch of free agents this season.
Oh, there is.
Pogba, I would say Pogba's going to Real Madrid.
Aye, I would think so too. Antonio Rudiger's going there as well, by the way.
Rudiger's already signed, so that's at least they've got somebody decent in defence now. They've been heavily courting Kieran Tierney as well, Real Madrid.
No wonder he's a good player. If he can stay fit.
Yep.
By the way, I've just looked up the list on transfermarket.com. Players out of contract. Mbappe, Pogba, Franck Kessie from AC Milan. Paulo Dybala from Juventus. Rudiger and Christensen from Chelsea. Ousmane Dembele for nothing, Barca.
Yep.
Andrea Bellotti, Italian starting international striker. Boubacar Kamara from Marseille, who everybody wants. Lacazette, Lingard, everybody. Everybody.
There's a bunch. It'll definitely be an interesting
It's going to be awesome.
summer, so it will.
Gonna be some big
Just move on,
contracts
yeah.
getting flung about then. Because
That's what happens, Mick. Aye, that's just what happens, Mick.
Yep. They're taking a leaf out the old American football.
That's what it is, man.
Like, we'll hit free agency and
bidding war.
bidding war, whoever wants me will have to pay the most.
Basically, mate.
Pretty much it.
Who's buying me a house and giving me the most money and getting me a car and setting me up with God knows
It's
what.
Setting up my dad, setting up my mama.
It's funny in the NFL, right? That when there's somebody in the last year of their contract, they always just seem to up their game because in the back of their head they know
Yep.
that if they put their stock up, they're just going to make mega money. You know.
Oh hey, I
So
wonder
there
if
you
that's the thing with Lukaku. No, Lukaku. Who were we just talking about?
Pogba,
No, before that.
Kane.
No,
We've mentioned a lot of football names. to be fair.
the fella that's having a good season and a bad season.
Oh, that was Lukaku we were talking about.
That was
He's
Lukaku.
not out of contract. He's not out of contract, though.
But that he's playing good to get a good contract, and then he's just settled down and he's no caring because he's got his good contract, and then when he's getting let go or whatever else, he goes away to prove himself so he can get another big contract.
Aye.
Good with that.
Lukaku.
Sorry. Right. Anyway.
Aye, it's all good.
It's good logic, to be fair. No, that makes sense. like-
No, it is. Aye. So, it'd be interesting. Imagine. I don't know, man. Hazard said he's staying at Real Madrid this season as well. For next season, he wants to prove that he's still got it.
Still good at him. Still game.
Yeah, imagine Real Madrid squad could have.
I get that in every week.
Aye,
Yeah, and a still game ref.
still game. You could have Mbappe, Hazard on the left. It could be a completely different Real Madrid squad you see next year.
Aye.
Anyway, we shall move on from that. So, former footballers are being urged to go forward to the PFA.
Right, aye.
Yes. They are seeking more evidence. Well, sorry, I should tell you what it's about first.
We need
Former
some
footballers are
context
being
there.
urged to come forward to the PFA, so the PFA can have a study done on their brains.
Right.
So they're seeking more evidence of a link between head and brain injuries. They also intend to improve support for players. The information from the study will be turned over to the IIAC, which is the Industrial Injuries Advisory Council. With that, it could be recommended that those affected receive benefits from the government. So those affected, if the study proves, I mean, it's kind of already proved, but apparently not inconclusively.
It'll be what's the word? Shit, I should have thought about this before I waded into the conversation.
So you think about
I'll
that.
come back to you.
Aye. So if they can prove the link between the head and brain injuries, right, he's got it.
They'll have studies and stuff that will have been done will show a correlation. They'll no prove causation.
Correlation. Aye. Yeah, that's it. So if they can prove it, football is affected from this, like, and they're deemed to have early onset dementia, etc., or even like a chronic depression and stuff like that. They will be recommended to receive benefits from the government.
Like the government of whatever country they currently reside in, or the government.
No, this is just for the UK.
It's a UK based thing,
right?
Okay.
It's actually just in England now. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
That's England. So yes, interesting.
I wonder. Do you think there'll come a time when they ban heading in football?
Oh,
it could be.
A touchy subject, but like there's definitely a correlation between heading the ball and concussion injuries.
So right now, from last year, there was a rule made in England, at least, that in every training session, a player cannot head the ball more than 10 times.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That was in July. That came in last year, I think, wasn't it? New heading guidance.
Actually, that's a lie. I think you can head the ball more than 10 times. I think it's 10 high force headers. That's what it is.
Right.
What they deem is to be high force headers. So they already have that. They'll probably be. I think probably the next step they'll do is they'll probably say heading is banned from training. You can only head in matches.
I think
something.
To me, the logic would lead me towards saying that you can only head the ball if you're in one of the boxes. So like you're defending or attacking in a box, but if you're in the middle of the park, you can't heed the ball.
It would be a mad change to the game.
It would be a big change, but it would be easier to go to that than just doing away with headers altogether. Because obviously the way the game's designed with corner kicks and free kicks, a lot of the way that stuff plays out is based around heading the ball.
I don't know. I think you'd have some very unhappy people if you try to change the rules that much.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I know it's for the
disgruntled
benefit of the
punters
player.
versus maintaining people's health.
The other way that they were, there's another study that's been done, and that's using mouth guards. So originally it was there was two teams. I'm not sure who the two teams were, but during training they were using these. The mouth guards obviously they have sensors and etc. in there, so it's assessed the impact of heading the ball. That began in March 2021. Now it's been rolled out to 12 teams in England.
Okay.
So 12 clubs. So I don't know who the 12 clubs are, but they span from the Premier League to the EFL and the WSL. Oh, the two teams were Liverpool and Man City. It was the women's and youth teams in Man City. They were the ones that started this in March 2021.
Okay.
They were the teams chosen for it. Now 12 clubs are participating in it. So that'll be an interesting study to read when it's all said and done.
So is the mouth guard thing, is that purely just a way of measuring the force, or are they trying to measure if the mouth guard makes a difference?
No, it's just for the force, the impact of heading. It just has the sensors in, so it just measures the impact of the head.
The actual
the ball.
Baboom fit, The baboom fit? The baboom. We'll go with baboom. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth investigating more though. Like the amount of all these old fellas now that are fighting later in life issues, like early onset dementia, like just for being footballers, man. They've been legends and they've entertained us, man, but it means they go out without much dignity, dying with playing early onset dementia, man. It's a shame. So I don't know what the answer is long term with lads, but I mean, if it's unsafe, then it needs change. Like, which is a weird place to come to as a football fan. Like, FIPA's went through changes in the past though to make the game better. I mean, the pass back rule is something we all recognise as something normal now for FIPA.
The what? Sorry.
The pass back rule, like the goalkeeper can't pick it up from one of his defenders passing it back. Like,
aye.
That's normal, but that wasn't a rule years and years ago. The goalkeeper could just pick it up if his defender get Like, so things have changed in football in time. Like, it's the game can move on into new things if it needs to. Fuck VAR. I mean, look at that, God. Try explaining to a guy in the 80s what VAR is like. Imagine that, God.
VAR. Still a controversial subject, that one.
To be fair, it is a bit, innit?
So many folk don't like it. So many folk love it. When it's used properly, I love it now. So just move on. We're going to move on to Paul's Quack of the Week.
Well, this one was really easy, Harvey. Salomon Rondon. As we were recording WrestleMash, Everton were playing against Brentford. They'd already suffered the issue of being down to 10 men. If they had won today, they would have saved themselves from relegation. They would have ruled it out altogether. They send on Salomon Rondon. 5 minutes to go. Frank's obviously at the side going, right, Sal, you've been shit. You're shit, but you can be a hero here. Go in there and be a hero. And Sal has built up a run on the park. And then at the top of his lungs roared Leroy Jenkins and dove several feet in the air to try kill Rico Henry with a 2-footed lunge. On the pitch, 90 seconds, back off, bye-bye driver. So, yes, no bye-bye driver the episode, but bye-bye driver is Salomon Rondon for Goodison Park, surely. And his Everton career. Incredible. There seems to be a lot of that daftness, though.
Aye.
Daniel James did it for Leeds through the week last week as well.
He did so.
Flying into a tackle right in front of the referee, like, I mean, you're a professional footballer, man. Are you stupid?
That requires the old freeze frame treatment with the zoom in video is the oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
No. So you're wondering why I got you.
He was sent on there to try and salvage a point, but I mean, even a point would have been brilliant for Everton today. It would have
been better than getting beat at home, mate.
I mean, a loss isn't the end of the world. They still have another 2 games.
As somebody who likes Everton do not deserve their fans. The fans have went into overdrive trying to turn that place into a bear pit, like lining the streets with fucking colours and noise and smoke bombs and flares, like proper trying to get an atmosphere, and the team just continuously let them down.
Yeah, they were 2-1 up and just total collapse. Rondon, don't know what he's thinking. I get that, obviously the adrenaline's pumping. I need to, fresh legs here have been brought on to try and get us back this, goal. I just don't know why he's wet. So even if he just slid with 1 foot, it wouldn't have been so bad. The fact that he came off the ground and went in like that, it's
wild, man.
I think I see somebody commentating that Rondon's went for the world record high jump there. Like, you know what I
mean? Playing the wrong sport, man.
Mental.
Oh, dear.
Hopefully they can get that win that they need to keep themselves afloat next week. Well, Everton. Strange to think that they could be relegated still. It's just weird. It's one of those teams where you're like, relegated, Everton relegated. Like, really? Like, you don't. I couldn't think of them not being in the Premier League.
Aye.
Strange. weird. I don't know. We shall leave the football there and move on to the F1.
Oh,
Just going to talk about Audi and Porsche, because I've been meaning to talk about this for a couple of weeks and then don't get to. So, Audi and Porsche are indeed on the verge of entering the F1. Michael, do you know about this? Well, obviously you know about it, but do you know that they're pretty much over the line?
the last I'd heard, I think it was Porsche was heavily in talks with Red Bull. So Red Bull basically are keen to have a proper engine manufacturer and supplier rather than them try to maintain the Honda thing. So it kind of works out for them that they partner with Porsche. The Audi, I don't know much about. I'd heard talk, I think McLaren. I can't remember if it was them that turned them down or if they were the backup. But that's about as much as I remember reading.
So, yep, Porsche is indeed aligning with Red Bull.
Right.
Audi have been in talks with McLaren, Sauber, Aston Martin, and Williams.
Okay.
So, whichever one they go to, I don't know. Not if it's even one of them, but they will are slated to come in when the next engine changes or the rules change. That's in 2026. So they've got a wee while yet. But that gives them more time to start working on stuff, start setting up there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, no need to open up a new wing in their factory to start, or a new factory altogether to start producing whatever they're going to be producing.
They might actually go to the Red Bull one in the UK.
Possibly, they might just send some engineers over to work there.
Because Red Bull has their own, it's just recently built.
Yep.
So, wouldn't it make sense for them to then move? So if they get them to come in there, that would be brilliant. Well, for them anyway. Their name is going to be, it would run as Red Bull Porsche. So Red Bull hyphenated and then Porsche. That's what their team, so it's pretty much over the line.
Red Bull Porsche Racing.
That's quite cool sounding.
Well, it doesn't even have racing.
Well, I'm just thinking because it's Red Bull Racing, you know.
The Red Bull Porsche.
Red Bull Porsche.
Maybe I picked these up wrong. I thought it was actually literally going to be a Porsche team, like on their own. So they're coming in as a manufacturer, right?
It's a partnership. Aye.
Right.
So at first they were looking into the possibility of doing that.
Right, okay.
Setting up a new team.
So there was, at one point, there was talk of Formula One opening up and allowing a new couple, like more teams to come in. So then rather than 10 teams in the grid, there'd be potentially 12 or whatever.
Right.
But I think that was pretty much unanimously shot down, because if you do that, then you have to start considering cutting down on letting teams have sort of B teams or having one driver rather than two per team or whatever, because you get to the point where there's potentially too many cars. So that was done away with. So then basically the decision for companies such as Audi and Porsche is, do we try and buy a team out, which is God knows how many fucking monies. You know what I mean? That's into the billions, I would imagine, potentially. Or form a partnership. And of course, Audi and Porsche both have very highly skilled engineers and very well developed engineering departments. They're known for making good engines, so makes sense that they do an engine partnership. For a team like Red Bull specifically, they have a team of engineers that are very good in terms of aerodynamics and whatnot and putting a package together, but they've relied on outside help for their engines for a number of years there. It was Honda that made and maintained their engines for them. Now they're in a a weird transitionary period where Honda have stepped away, but they're still supplying the engine, but Red Bull's having to basically put the parts together and maintain it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Yep. Yeah. So the Volkswagen
Group,
they own Audi and Porsche, right? So the chief executive, Herbert Diess, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Diess. Just got to say Diess. I just got to call him Herbert.
These nuts, sorry.
These nudes.
Got him.
Herbert. Herbert, because he was asked about this discussions and stuff, and he said that discussions about entering into F1 at board level had created divisions within the group. I said Audi and Porsche bosses, who they are VW's biggest income generators. They argued that F1 would bring in more money to them than not being in there. And he said it's just you just run out of arguments against entering. So they gave him the green light to go ahead.
Right.
Just because they ran out of arguments against going into F1.
So much money in Formula One.
Aye, so much.
It's like
sponsors here, there, and there. Yeah,
it's almost like some sort of investment thing that's like seemingly too good to be true, and it's like the only catch is that you need to have, I don't know, let's say 200 million to put in, but if you've got the 200 million to put in, you're guaranteed to get like 500 million a year for the next 5 years or something stupid, you know what I mean?
Aye.
It's kind of like a no-brainer if you've got the means to get your foot in the door.
To do it.
Formula One, money maker.
Oh yes.
So I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what that engine. I'm sure Porsche will be able to put a great engine together for Red Bull. Audi, sure the same. If that's the route that they're going, because they might actually buy out one of these small teams. So I mean, Haas.
I think for Audi, like Sauber or Haas or something like that, you look to buy them over and build your own team, I think. Potentially, anyway. But I don't know. But
potentially.
Aye.
Be interesting. I'm sure we'll see more about it in the coming months or year. So, we'll move on to the Miami race.
Miami? Oh, that's right. We couldn't talk about it because it was on late last week. I forgot about that.
So, Paul, did you watch the full race or?
What did I do? I think I watched it with you guys, I'm sure I did.
We were back and forth about it.
We were in the chat.
We were definitely back and forth talking about it, aye, because it was later, of course, wasn't it?
Aye, it was the Sunday night.
But, well, I mean, largely I come for this as a Haas fan, lads, and it was a very disappointing weekend for me. It really upset me. Mick Schumacher was there. He was almost winning his first ever points, and then it just bad luck unfortunately happens, and he makes a wee arsey going into a turn, and baboom, takes out him and Vettel. Was Vettel, wasn't it? Aye, it was Vettel on the Aston Martin.
It was the irony because Vettel's such, well, I mean, this is what the media's been talking about anyway. With Vettel being such a big Michael Schumacher fan, he's been mentoring Mick and looking out for him and stuff like that. And they've had the things where like one of them's crashed and the other one's stopping to check on them. Both of them's done it.
Aye.
So then for all the guys on the track, for Mick to take out, had to be Vettel.
Aye. You can see it when he got his car. He looked absolutely heartbroken, man. Like he did. He looked gutted, Mick Schumacher. But anyway, I know that's not even slightly the biggest story. I'm Drive to Survive in this here, lads. I'm totally Drive to Survive in this and making a big deal out of a mid-table nothingness. So you guys go ahead. I'm sorry as a Haas fan. I'm after the side.
He was in for the points. He was going to get his first points, and then he just. I don't really know.
I think the big story out of this race is the straight line speed of the Red Bull when it's when it can get to the end of a race, it's looking like it's hard to beat, especially once it's in front. Because even with the DRS, I mean, this wasn't the necessarily the best setup track for the Formula Ones, for the Ferraris, but even with DRS, Leclerc could not get past Verstappen. That Red Bull was just too quick, a straight line.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we came back for this first race. We kind of said this: it's Verstappen and Red Bulls to lose this year, and it seems to be the case, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As it wears on every week.
Definitely looks. I mean, aye. As each week goes past, it just looks more and more likely that Verstappen's going to win this.
So there's something that I kind of said or alluded to or partially spoke about early on when we were, I think it was probably after the first race, we were kind of making predictions and stuff, and it was that Ferrari have got this kind of history of falling off.
Mm-hmm. Falling off a wee bit.
It's like they've got the best out of their car that they could within, like, more or less, give or take sort of thing, straight away. Whereas the likes of Red Bull, who are competitive at the start, they've got more that they can do with that car. Mercedes, who are off the pace, if they can get their shit together, they can then be competitive with them. McLaren can potentially be really competitive with them, you know what I mean? So Ferrari they've no came in with this like room for improvement, as it were. So as the season goes on, it could get potentially a bit rough for them.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing. I think Red Bull, I don't think folk haven't noticed it as much, but I think Red Bull, they've tweaked a few things and they've got better, whereas Ferrari have just stayed in the same place. And you can see that they're still fast, they're still competitive, but at the end of the day, if that Red Bull gets a chance to take them, you know, they'll take them, and they're going to have a tough time coming back.
Yeah. There will probably still be tracks, even as the season goes on, where the Ferrari will do much better because the cars are set up completely differently.
Yeah, they're completely different setups, yeah.
Like any time there's a track where there's sort of limited straight lines and there's a lot of sort of high-speed corners and stuff like that, the Ferrari's going to do really well. But wherever there's long straights, the Red Bull's just going to be too quick.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to go back in, because I can't remember what I said at the start of the season. If I said... I definitely said I think that Max Verstappen would win the championship.
I think you said Verstappen to win the championship and Ferrari to win the Constructors.
I think that's what I said, right?
I think that was your prediction.
I think that's what I said, and I think if the things go the way they're currently going, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Max Verstappen will win the championship, and the Ferraris consistently getting into points like second, third. I think they'll win the championship.
I read an article the other day. Some like highly respected F1 journalist, cannot remember his name. I just that's not a detail that I tend to remember. Anyway, he was talking about Mercedes, the position that they're in, the performance so far for each driver and stuff like that. And for the most part, the article was just a bit like, well, I mean, that's what I thought, that's what I knew. You know what I mean? There's nothing groundbreaking in it. But he made a particular comment in it that made me think, oh, actually, you're onto something there. And basically what he said was, when, not if, Mercedes unlock the full potential of that car, every other team needs to watch out, because Mercedes, in this guy's opinion, and I think I share the opinion, Mercedes have the best driver pairing on that grid. And if both of those drivers are driving at their fullest capabilities in cars that are fully capable of challenging for first place, then they are the team to beat.
I would say it's close.
As long as Russell and Hamilton don't get caught up in infighting, and they do actually operate as a team,
that's a guarantee. You can see that already. So we with Max Verstappen winning that, obviously he's got back closer to Charles Leclerc, and nobody has led by 40 points and lost a championship since 2012.
Right.
And that was Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. Looks like Leclerc might be the first one in a while to lose that. Anyway, at the start of the race, Max Verstappen makes a dive right down the inside, and he takes Carlos Sainz, who couldn't do anything. He was stuck in a bad place, so he was, just the way he lined up. Because if he tries to cut off Max Verstappen, he runs the risk of running into Charles Leclerc. So he's had to move it the way to let Max come in to take the place. So it's kind of like one of those damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, you know. On one hand, hit into my teammate, take the both of us out the potentially take the both of us out the race, or just concede and let Max take the place and then try and fight back. But obviously he couldn't fight back. It was from there. It was just, I mean, at the start it was a great start though. That like Max Verstappen moved up a place, Alonso moved up 4 places, Mick Schumacher moved up, like a bunch of folk moved up. A couple of people moved down, obviously, with people moving up, like, but that was brilliant. And then I think into lap 9 is when Max Verstappen took the lead. A nice move. And then lap 10 he just like starts to open up the lead. So there's a bunch of stuff went on there. Like, so lap 24, Leclerc said the car is too difficult to drive. Did you see that part?
I believe he was having bother because his tyres were overheating or something. He was starting to lose grip.
So he was saying this just as he was in the midst of setting the fastest lap. So he was saying that while he was doing the fastest lap.
He was like on the edge with his car. Wild.
It's like, oh, right, okay.
I mean, he's known as a guy that like he's no had a horror yet. So he hasn't had that sort of check on him. He's had crashes, obviously, but he's not had a horror crash. So he's still content to sort of drive on the line and really, really push it at all times. So even when it's getting a bit squirrely and he's losing grip, he's still setting fastest laps.
He's still going for it. I just thought that was funny. I was like, well, you know, you can slow down a bit if it's that. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool.
He's all champion, it'll be a bit better.
Aye. And then the 26. So in the 26th lap, right, when Max Verstappen came in, I just always like looking at the pit stops fascinated by him. He was only stationary for 2.4 seconds. Took 2.4 seconds for them to take all 4 tyres off and put them back on a different set on.
Aye.
It's crazy, you know. 2.4 seconds stationary. I mean, the whole timing of took 18.798 seconds for the whole sequence of the pit stop, but stationary for 2.4 seconds.
Yep.
That's mind blowing, man. It shows you how like vital that those pit crew are, or the pit crews. They're so vital. If they mess up, that's the difference between first place and third. In some instances, or first and fifth. There, you know, mental. Then Mick Schumacher and Kevin Magnussen, that was fun to watch for a wee bit when they were dueling it out. Mick Schumacher trying to get past them. Eventually he succeeds. But it was good to see that Haas was just letting them go for it, you know. Wasn't sure what was going to happen there.
Seen a wee bit of racing, huh?
I see a bad racing.
Similar to Alonso and Ocon, wasn't it? With the kind of letting them race. What was that? That was the first race of the season, was it? Or was it the second race?
I think that was Australia.
Was it Australia? Aye, where they let them just race it out?
They were just until until Ocon started getting a bit.
I think tyre wear kind of played a part in them kind of.
And they were like, ease off. What were you saying,
Can I
Michael?
just blow your mind real quick? The fastest pit stop at Miami was actually one of Perez's stops, and they had a 2.33.
Right, 2.3. I remember seeing that. 2.3.
Yep.
Right. But Red Bull
Verstappen's
just,
pit stop at 2.49 was the fourth fastest of the weekend or the race or the whatever. I don't know how they work it. So Red Bull had the top two, both Perez's stops, a 2.33 and a 2.37, and Aston Martin with Stroll at a 2.45 at one point.
Nice.
Wild.
Aye.
That's unreal,
It's just
Mercedes' best effort was a 2.64. They've got some work to do.
But I mean, Red Bull have been consistently well versed in the pit stops for the last couple of years. They've been consistently one of the best pit crews. So they have. So it's no real surprise that they had the fastest at the weekend. I don't know what it is. Like, do they just
Repetition.
train on it all week or what?
They spend a lot of time training them guys, man.
Well, because I don't know, because a lot of people don't know that the pit crew are actually mechanics and engineers as well.
Aye.
So they're not just actual tyre changers. That's like the secondary job. So they've got their primary jobs to do first before
They're like the most overqualified labourers in the world.
Aye, pretty much.
It's not a bad.
But it's been interesting because remember a couple of weeks ago I was telling you that none of the teams have really been practicing much with those tyres because they're so heavy. And it's true, like, because they're so heavy, they hardly practice. You can see them struggling with the tyres. It's hilarious, especially shorter ones. They can't. And then George Russell, he decides he's got to stay out. He was doing the old wait and see if the safety car comes out approach, and well, it paid off for him.
Yep.
Aye. He was getting good. But well, what they found out in Miami, in which I didn't really understand at the time why some people weren't coming in for, like at that time, coming in for softs and mediums. That's because a well-used hard was faster than the softs and the mediums at that time in Miami.
Yep.
It's weird how each track is different. You never really know.
There's so many factors.
Like,
And
wow.
It's an utterly boring subject, but it makes a big difference.
Aye, you're right.
Like the grainer of the tire,
but it makes
the material that the material of the road surface, the air temperature, the track temperature,
temperature,
the humidity, all these different wee things.
Right.
Average speed of the circuit.
Aye, all that good stuff. Anyway, Perez, near the end, could have got on the podium, but he then messes it up against Sainz Jr. He went and he dove in. It was a late lunge, and he just couldn't hold it. He lost it immediately. It was a late lunge, and he kind of locked up, didn't he? And Sainz just ran away. And there was no chance for him to come back. He would have been... So at first I was saying Mick Schumacher was got to be my driver of the day until he smashed into... bloody Vettel, sorry. And then Michael, you were saying Perez. Was it Perez?
Winner.
For driver of the day. So then you had said Perez, and I was like, well, he could have been if he didn't mess it up at the end there. He could have finished third, but So it's,
he had a great,
don't know who
great
I'd give
performance
driver of the
outside of that. Sort of pulling the performance back out of the car after he struggled a wee bit.
Yeah, that's right. He lost a wee bit of power, didn't he?
That
was another funny.
There was an issue with the battery system, so they had to change the settings, which meant that he was driving with like 30 or 40% less power than Verstappen.
So it was funny because when he was saying to the team, like, I'm losing power, and they're like, no, you're not losing power. He's like, I can see I'm losing power. I'm not going as fast as what. Sainz is moving away from me. I'm only going 100 or whatever mile. And they're like, no, you know. He's like, I'm telling you. And then they come back and like, we said something, and it was like, we fixed the problem. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
So it's
Just
funny, funny. It's interesting. That's a better word to use, because it's yet another reliability issue for the Red Bulls. But every bloody week, it's a different issue they're having. At least both of them made it to the end of the fucking race, I suppose, this week. But every week there's something new that they're finding with them motors. Strange.
Each week, and they would be top if they were able to finish every race.
They'd be running away with the Constructors' Championship at this point.
Aye. Yep. Do you know that George Russell was the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in each race?
I read that.
So far.
Yep.
That's cool, yeah. Anybody else get anything to add about that race?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's cool that they've. It's a good track they've added to the calendar. So I hope they keep going back. I like it, and hopefully the American market can kind of get behind Formula One a bit more. I saw some people digging in, like saying like the NASCAR had pulled in so many viewers versus Formula One pulled in this, like in America, in their TV viewings. So it was like it's no, you know what I mean, it's obviously it's no done well. NASCAR's so much better, blah blah. It's like, honestly, like the fact that they've,
it's not really a direct correlation, because NASCAR has been prevalent in the States
NASCAR is an absolute staple.
How many years?
Aye.
You know what I mean?
It's a tradition for people to get together and get food and watch the NASCAR
and watch.
It's like putting on a cricket match in America and a baseball match on at the same time, and saying, look, more folk came to the baseball game than the cricket. It's like, well, obviously, because, you know.
I think for me, I just point to the fact that, like, well, they did get however many millions of viewers on TV. They had their stands were chock-a-block. The media days were chock-a-block. They've had media coverage.
To me,
it was an absolute success, as far as I can see.
It was a success. You can see it was a success. Does it have the same following as NASCAR? No, but it's a success in its own right in that country. So, you know,
looking forward to
I don't know why folk.
Looking forward to the Las Vegas one now.
Next year. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Paul, did you like the layout of the track, the speed?
I mean, it was cool to see. I like the kind of funny American take on certain things, like getting the old boxing guy to interview the guys at the end of the race. I was fair tickled with that, man. Hey, champ.
That was hilarious.
It was quite funny. Accidentally hilarious, but. You're going to get a lot of things like that. It'll be the same in Vegas. He'll have bloody Vegas Elvis interviewing the winners and all this. It's going to be funny. Guy dressed up. How did you do that?
Somebody on stilts.
It's going to be brilliant. Aye, stilt walker cutting about the track.
How you doing, buddy?
Lewis Ham won't be raging because he can't wear an Elvis cape while he's racing. What do you mean it's dangerous? What do you mean it's dangerous? It helps my aerodynamics. It helps my aerodynamics.
Blue suede shoes don't count as racing boots.
Man.
A full suede suit.
The only part that I would change about that whole weekend, it was on the racetrack itself. I didn't quite like the turn 14 and 15, the dog leg kind of. You know, where it was just quick boom boom. I didn't really like that one. I don't know why, but still brilliant race. Fans loved it. They had, for anybody who doesn't know, like, America goes big on the fan experience. So they had, like, you could go and do pit changes. They had stations where you could do pit changes. They had the racing simulators, like proper racing simulators there, dotted all around Miami, like Miami Beach, like everywhere. Brilliant. They proper went out for it, so all out for it. So pretty much, aye. So that was good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully next year will be just as good. So just before we move on, right? I was watching a thing on the F1 official YouTube that they do, the grid to grill the grid.
Okay.
And this week it was, they had each driver, they had to place each driver on who's the tallest to smallest and where they were. Who do you think is the tallest driver
George
in
Russell.
F1?
Oh no,
Him or Ocon,
Gasly.
is it no?
Ocon. One of the three.
One of them. Gasly,
One of
Ocon,
three.
Hamilton.
Gasly, Ocon, or who?
Russell.
George Russell. Right. What height do you think they are?
I'm pretty sure all three of them's over 6 feet.
Okay. So Esteban Ocon is 6'1".
Okay.
Aye, I thought.
George Russell is 6 foot dead on. Latifi's at 6 foot. Gasly, you said Gasly, he's only 5'9".
What is he? I thought he was taller.
He's one of these. He's one of these small, tall people. Like, he's small but lanky.
He's lanky, so he looks tall.
Aye. He Tom
Who's the
Cruise is it?
shortest?
Shortest.
Oh, that's Yuki. That's Yuki Tsunoda. 5'2".
It's got to be, innit?
That was an obvious one.
The size of an average child, isn't he? Yuki.
And then
What height do you think he is? So
5'2", is it no? 5'2".
5'2".
Aye.
54 kilograms he
pretty
weighs.
small as well, I think. Not that small, obviously, but I think he's pretty small.
It's 5'6". Him and Alonso are 5'6".
Do you know,
Usually fine race drivers are quite
there's a
small.
thing like the drivers are supposed to keep themselves around 80 kilos or less.
Aye.
That's bloody mental to me. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm
they've got to keep
like challenged with all kilos,
Yeah,
but
kilometrically challenged, kilogramically challenged.
It's that optimal. like,
there's an allowance with the car, because obviously the cars need a certain weight.
cars.
There's an allowance
Yep.
there that, like, there's 80 kilos for the driver and there's so much for fuel and this and that. So the car needs to weigh a maximum, whatever the number is.
Whatever the yeah. That's. I'm still blown away that Yuki Tsunoda's only 54 kilograms.
That's
Weighs 54 kilos.
ridiculous. I'm no far away from double him. Harvey, you probably are a bit double him, ain't you?
I'm double Y. That's ridiculous.
Double it, 2 Tsunodas.
Easy.
I'm 1.9 Tsunodas and Harvey's 2 Tsunodas.
Couple of Tsunodas.
I'm a foot.
Imagine that
pretty much 2
conversation at GP.
Tsunodas,
How much do you
Pretty
weigh?
much.
Well, I don't want to disclose it, but I'm about 2 Yuki Tsunodas.
aye. I weigh about 2 of him. That's it.
See that wee guy there? 2 of him.
Oh,
Merged
man.
them.
Anyway, that would be it.
How much do you weigh? 2 what? 1 kilos. Staying. No, Yuki's.
2 wee Yukis.
2 wee Yuki.
What's that measurement's that? Oh, it's a Japanese fella that drives cars.
Oh, good. Anyway, so next weekend we have the Spanish Grand Prix, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That's always a good one, so
Spanish Harvey on the call there.
that'll be fun. And we'll be able to cover it on that weekend, which is fantastic.
Sounds good.
So we will. So we'll just move on to Mix Mono
Ooh.
to round off the day.
I've just a wee joke today.
Oh, you joke.
So, a man walks into a restaurant with an emu by his side. The waitress asks for their orders. The man says, a burger, chips and a Coke, please. He then turns to the emu and nods. I'll have the same, says the emu. A short time later, the waitress returns with the order and says, that will be £14.40, please. The man reaches into his pocket and, without looking, pulls out the exact change for the payment. The next day, the man and the emu go to the restaurant again, and the man says, a burger, chips and a Coke, please. The emu says, I'll have the same. Again, the man reaches into his pocket and pays the exact change. This becomes routine until one night they enter the restaurant and the waitress asks, the usual? No, this is a Friday night, so I'll have a ribeye steak, a baked potato and a salad, says the man. And me too, says the emu. The waitress brings the order and says, right, that will be $32.60, please. Once again, the man pulls the exact change out of his pocket and places it on the table. The waitress can't hold back her curiosity any longer, so she says, excuse me, sir, how is it that you manage to always come up with the exact change out of your pocket every single time? Well, says the man, several years ago, I was cleaning my house and I found an old lamp. When I rubbed it, a genie appeared and he offered me 2 wishes. My first wish was that if I ever had to pay for anything, I would just put my hand in my pocket and the right amount of money would always be there. That's brilliant, says the waitress. Most people would wish for £1 million or something, but you'll always be as rich as you want for as long as you live. That's right. Whether it's a litre of milk or a Rolls Royce, the exact money is always there, says the man. The waitress asks, but sir, what's with the emu? The man sighs and answers, my second wish was for a tall bird with long legs who agrees with everything I say.
Yes, outstanding.
Oh, Christ.
Well played, sir.
Well, thank you for that then, Michael. Oh, God.
Outstanding monologue.
On that note, we shall end this session.
It's been a session.
I'd just like to thank, it's been a session. I'd like to thank you all very much for listening. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, you can find us on all social media apps. Please keep spreading the word. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye, driver.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
You have now reached your destination.